Hey, my loves. Welcome back to Inner Love Messages. I'm Sarah, and I'm really glad you're here with me tonight. If you're new to the channel, I'm so happy you found your way here. And if you're one of my beautiful returning subscribers, thank you for coming back. It truly means so much. Tonight's message is for those of you who are in separation from someone special. Maybe you haven't heard from them in a while, or the communication between you two has been inconsistent, distant, or confusing. Maybe you've just been wondering how they truly feel about you, what's going on in their heart and mind, and whether they still think about you. This reading is meant for those who are missing someone and sensing there's something still lingering in the connection, even in the silence. As I pull cards and tune into their energy, the first message that comes through is powerful and raw. It reads, "Forcing myself to forget you." Just sitting with those words, you can feel the weight of what they're trying to carry. It's clear your person is in a deep emotional conflict right now. They're not just trying to move on. They're battling with themselves, caught between wanting to let go and not being able to. The emotions swirling inside them are intense: anger, confusion, grief, love. It's like a storm they didn't see coming, and now it's taking over. They didn't expect to feel this deeply for you. In fact, the realization of just how much they care seems to have completely thrown them off balance. It's overwhelming for them, and it's stirring up anger, not just at the situation, but sometimes even at you, even if that anger isn't really about you. It's a projection of their inner chaos, the helplessness they feel about not being able to control their emotions, and about how strongly they're drawn to you. You, divine feminine, have awakened something in them that they can't ignore. You've stirred their soul in a way no one else ever has, and now they don't know how to handle it. It's both beautiful and terrifying for them. You've become this mirror that reflects their deepest feelings, their desires, their fears, and because of that, your presence or your absence holds immense power in their world. It seems like you've been apart for some time now, and they've gone through all the phases of missing you, the longing, the sadness, and now the anger. But that anger is born from grief. They're grieving the loss of something they can't easily name but deeply feel. They miss the connection with you, the way you made them feel, the way your energy lit up their world. If they were honest, they'd admit that they feel completely lovesick, like a part of them is missing, like they're incomplete without you. In their heart, they know they'll never find anyone quite like you. They might not say it out loud, but there's this quiet knowing inside them that your energy is unmatched. It's not just about physical chemistry or emotional compatibility, it's something deeper. You bring life to everything around you. Your essence is vibrant, soulful, and magnetic, and it's left an imprint on them that they can't forget. No one else compares to what they felt when they were with you. The difference between how they feel when they're around you and how they feel without you is striking. When you're near, it's like they're alive in a new way. They're inspired, elevated, and seen in a way they've never experienced before. There's a natural flow between you two, like your souls know how to dance together without needing to speak. It's easy, it's beautiful, and it's undeniable. But without you, everything feels dull, out of tune, like the world has lost its color. Life just doesn't taste the same anymore. They may not have told you all of this, but you can probably feel it in your own heart. You've sensed their energy lingering. Even through the silence, there's a connection that hasn't disappeared. In fact, this distance has only made your absence more pronounced in their life. There's a growing realization that they can't simply forget you or move on like they may have hoped. Whether the separation was their decision or not, they're now sitting with the ache of missing you, and they don't know how to fill that void. What they haven't realized is that all this anger they're feeling isn't a rejection of you, it's an indication of how deeply they care. It's their heart's way of expressing just how much they're struggling without you. They wouldn't feel so lost or frustrated if you didn't matter so much. Their anger is a mask for heartbreak, a shield to protect themselves from the vulnerability that comes with truly missing someone. But beneath that armor, all they want is to feel your presence again. So even if it seems like they've turned away from you, what's really happening is that they're caught in a storm of emotion. They're not sure how to navigate it, but they know you're the center of it all. You're the one who awakened their heart, and they're struggling to figure out how to live with that truth. They didn't expect to feel this way, and now they don't know how to make it stop. They keep trying to convince themselves that they're over it, that they've moved on. They bury themselves in work, distract themselves with friends or social media, anything to avoid sitting with their feelings, but none of it works. No matter what they do, nothing compares to what they felt with you. They're haunted by memories, by reminders that sneak up when they least expect it. A song on the radio, a familiar scent, a place you once visited together. It all pulls them back to you, over and over again. Even when they try to suppress their emotions, the universe keeps nudging them toward the truth. It's like everything around them is echoing your name, reminding them of what they're trying to forget but can't. They're not just missing a person, they're missing a soul connection, one that felt like home. Before I share the rest of this reading, I just want to say thank you. If you feel this message has resonated with you and you appreciate the energy and time I've put into it, you're welcome to leave a super thanks as a little offering of gratitude. It truly supports the channel and means the world to me. But most importantly, know this: you are unforgettable. Your person knows it, even if they're not saying it. They're not just trying to forget you, they're fighting against something they don't know how to let go of. And that in itself says everything. Right now, this person is in a state of emotional and mental overwhelm. They're caught in a cloud of confusion, not quite sure how to handle everything they're feeling. Deep down, their heart knows the truth, but they're frustrated by their inability to face it head on. So instead, they've been avoiding it, dodging the truth, pushing aside their emotions, and trying not to acknowledge the intense longing they feel for you. But despite all their efforts to outrun what's inside them, your energy still lingers. It's not loud or obvious, but it's constant and undeniable, gently pulling them back to thoughts of you and everything you once shared together. The more they try to silence it, the louder it seems to get. It's becoming clear to them now that no matter how far they try to move forward, their mind always circles back to you. In the past, they may have been able to bury themselves in work or distractions to avoid heavy emotional situations. But this time, it's not working the same way. They're filling their life with noise, tasks, people, things that occupy their attention, not because they're truly invested, but because they're trying to avoid what's bubbling up inside. Ironically, the effort they're putting into ignoring these feelings only proves how much they still care. They've never gone to such lengths to avoid thinking about someone before, and that in itself says everything. It's only people who matter deeply that make us work this hard to forget. Even if they'd never admit it out loud, your absence is weighing heavily on them. There's a part of them that feels completely unanchored without you, more vulnerable than they'd like to admit. The connection you had was strong, powerful enough that your presence still echoes in their energy. It surrounds them, reminding them constantly of what's missing, what was real. And if you've been feeling off lately, more emotional than usual, more drawn to memories or thoughts of them, it's no coincidence. It's because you're connected. It's because their energy is reaching for you. You might find yourself wondering why you're suddenly thinking about them more, or feeling their presence in ways that don't quite make sense. That's the bond between you. It's active, it's alive, and it's being stirred up. What you're sensing emotionally is a mirror of what they're experiencing. The energetic tie between the two of you is incredibly strong, and they're tugging on it whether they realize it or not. The more they resist their feelings, the more that bond tightens, drawing you both into this emotional space where everything feels heightened. Even if you're physically apart, even if words haven't been exchanged in a long time, the connection itself is very much alive. It's as if something invisible is pulling you both closer together, despite the walls that may have been built or the silence that's been growing. Right now, you're both caught in a moment of intense energetic exchange, and it's affecting you both more deeply than you might have expected. So even though they might be pretending that they've moved on or acting like they're unbothered, the truth is quite the opposite. What they're feeling right now is raw and real. The emotions tied to what you shared can't be buried, and neither of you is immune to the bond that still exists. No distraction, no avoidance, no distance can undo the energy between two souls that have deeply connected. There's something important that needs to be said about their perspective. From the beginning, they had a plan, a vision for how this connection would unfold. They believed they had a handle on it, thinking things would move in a certain direction. But somewhere along the way, it all shifted. The path they imagined has unraveled into something unexpected, and now they're struggling to come to terms with how far off course everything has gone. They're having a hard time letting go of the future they envisioned with you, and it's weighing heavily on them. Even though your energy feels stronger now than ever, they're hesitant. They want to say something, they want to reach out, but something keeps holding them back. It's not that they don't have anything to say. It's more about not knowing how to say it in a way that feels right. They're being overly cautious, second-guessing everything, worrying about saying the wrong thing or making things worse. There's a real fear of misjudging the situation, and that fear is keeping them silent. Part of their hesitation comes from feeling unsure about where you stand. Your energy feels distant, harder for them to read than before. It might not be something you're doing intentionally. It could just be how things have evolved between you. But to them, it feels like they've lost their sense of connection to you. That uncertainty makes them nervous. They want to reach out, but they're scared of what they might find on the other side. Are you still open to hearing from them, or has too much time passed? For many of you, the connection is so spiritually deep that your person doesn't even need to speak to know that you understand. On some level, they feel like you already know how they're feeling, even if nothing is said out loud, but still, they remain quiet, whether it's fear, pride, or something else. They're unable to break through their own resistance. They may also believe too much time has gone by, and that it's too late to come back into your life. That thought scares them deeply. They're afraid of rejection, of you moving on, of discovering that the door they hope is still open is already closed. Divine Feminine. It's also possible that you created boundaries for yourself along the way. Maybe you told yourself that if they reached out within a certain window of time, you'd be open to reconnecting. But that window has now closed, and your person senses it. They feel the shift, and it's left them with a heavy sense of fear and sadness. They wonder if they've missed their chance, if the bond has been broken beyond repair. They don't know how to approach you anymore, and the uncertainty is eating away at them more than you might realize. Where you both are now isn't what they expected. When things first started between you, when it felt easy, aligned, and full of promise, they never imagined ending up in this place of distance and silence. It just wasn't part of the plan. And while you may have gone through ups and downs before, this time feels different. This time, the space between you feels heavier, harder to ignore, more painful. It's no longer something they can just brush off as temporary or insignificant. Sometimes they find themselves lost in the past, revisiting old conversations, rereading messages, or scrolling through memories. Each piece brings up waves of nostalgia and regret, reminders of what was beautiful and what has been lost. They reflect on how things changed, wondering when exactly the disconnect happened. They're deeply aware now that the future they had once envisioned with you is not the one they're living in, and that realization is hard to carry. Right now, it seems like both of you are aware of what's going on, even if it hasn't been spoken out loud. There's this quiet dance of avoidance, like you're both skirting around the truth, not quite ready to dive into the real conversations that need to happen. You might both be curious, still wondering about each other, but hesitant to face what's underneath it all. It's not about a lack of feelings, it's about the fear of what those feelings might uncover. The longer this goes unspoken, the more complicated it becomes. You're both standing still, wanting to move forward, but unsure how to take that first step. And in that hesitation, the confusion just deepens. One last thing, and it's important to take to heart. Your person wants you to understand that this wasn't how they meant for things to turn out. They didn't plan for the distance, the silence, or the disconnect. In their heart, they're carrying a quiet sorrow, a regret that things unraveled the way they did. They had pictured something different for the two of you, something more open, more honest, more deeply connected. But the path that once seemed so clear has changed, and now they're left trying to make sense of what went wrong. They're still holding on to that original vision, even as they stand in the reality of where things are now, and the truth is, it's breaking their heart more than you know. The next wave of energy coming through from them carries a profound truth. It's the message, "You have my heart." And this isn't something they say lightly. It's not just a romantic sentiment tossed into the wind. This comes from a deep place within them, something real, raw, and undeniably sincere. There's something about the way they see you, especially when your eyes meet, that has changed everything for them. That moment your eyes locked, something deep inside them shifted. Time felt like it slowed, and they found themselves surrendering in a way they hadn't expected. Your gaze didn't just see them, it reached them, found a part of their soul they hadn't even known was there. From that moment on, they knew you held something sacred, something they couldn't replace or run from. You hold their heart in the truest, most soul-deep sense. Even if you're not physically near them right now, or if things feel emotionally distant, they need you to know this. They want you to feel this with every fiber of your being. The connection between you may span time and space, but it hasn't weakened. It can't. It lives in a realm that physical distance can't touch. Still, what makes it more complex is the emotion that's brewing inside them. There's an undercurrent of pain in their energy, a kind of inner upset they haven't been able to process. But it's not just frustration or anger. It runs much deeper. It's a sorrow they're carrying, a grief for something lost, something they never meant to let slip away. That sadness is buried beneath layers of emotional confusion. Instead of facing that vulnerability head-on, they hide behind their ego. It's not intentional cruelty. It's more like a shield, a reflex to protect themselves from feeling the full weight of their own aching heart. So instead of showing you how much they miss you or how much it hurts, they act out. Their behavior may seem confusing or erratic. They may lash out, shut down, or pull away because the truth of their feelings is too overwhelming to handle all at once. If you're energetically sensitive, chances are you've already picked up on it. You've likely felt the shift in them, the way their energy has changed, the silence, the heaviness. Maybe you've sensed the sadness behind their smile or the storm behind their silence. You've always had an intuitive sense of their emotions, and right now you're probably feeling the chaos within them, even if they haven't spoken a word. This emotional mess they're in only adds to the weight of what's already complicated. They miss you so deeply, but that longing is tangled up with their confusion, making it hard for them to show it clearly. They might even be pushing you away, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to navigate this emotional storm. In their heart, they believe you're the only one who can bring peace to their chaos, but they don't know how to ask for it. They're afraid of reaching out, afraid of what might happen if they open that door again. So instead, they stay silent, hoping you'll understand what they can't put into words, that quiet yearning that hasn't gone away. Even when their words are sharp or their actions seem distant, their heart is still speaking to you. That energy between you doesn't lie. It continues to reach for you, even when they don't know how to. And that bond, it's so deeply rooted in their soul that not even anger, pride, or emotional confusion can sever it. This love they carry for you goes far deeper than the surface. It endures beyond whatever emotions might be flaring up at the moment. No matter how hard they try to hide it or protect themselves from it, that love still finds its way to you. And you've always known this, you've always felt it. There's always been a certain ease, a kind of sacred knowing between the two of you that words could never quite capture. Even when they're quiet, even when the space between you feels wide, you feel the current of their heart beating in sync with yours. There's a magnetic pull between you, something that exists beyond the physical world. It's as though your souls are in constant conversation even when your human selves are worlds apart. You might have even felt this bond most clearly during the quiet moments, late at night, in stillness, or during moments when emotions swell unexpectedly. You might find yourself feeling things that aren't entirely your own, sudden waves of sorrow or joy or longing that seem to come from nowhere. But deep down, you know exactly where they come from. You're feeling them. Their emotions, their confusion, their heartbreak, it's all pulsing through the connection you share. They're overwhelmed by their own heart, swinging from one emotion to the next, not fully understanding what's happening inside themselves. Right now, they're stuck in that inner battle. One part of them wants to make sense of everything with logic to stay in control, but their heart keeps pulling them in a different direction. One that defies logic and demands vulnerability. It's uncomfortable. It's intense, and it's triggering parts of them that they haven't fully faced. They're trying to regain their balance, trying to make sense of it all, but the truth is, they feel everything so deeply when it comes to you. That connection stirs something powerful inside them, something they can't ignore, no matter how much they try. And even in the middle of all that emotional chaos, they still see you clearly. They might not say it out loud, but they feel your strength. You, in your divine feminine essence, are a force. You move through the world with a quiet power, and they see that. They feel it. You have a direct line to their heart, a connection that both comforts and overwhelms them. It's this very intensity that leaves them feeling conflicted. They're drawn to you, unable to let go, but they're also unsure how to handle the gravity of what they feel. And here's the part they never thought they'd admit, but they're starting to realize it now. If this message resonates with you, it's because your person knows, deep down, that this connection is unlike anything else. From the very beginning, something about you unsettled them, not in a bad way, but in a way that shook them awake. Even when they tried to ignore it, the feeling stayed, a soft whisper in their soul reminding them that this was real, that this mattered. They might have tried to convince themselves otherwise, but that truth has only grown stronger. They've reached a point where they can't deny it anymore. You are irreplaceable. The depth of this realization has hit them hard because it's not just that you're special, it's that no one else compares. No one else could take your place. It's not about logic or even desire anymore. It's about truth. And the truth is, they don't want anyone else. No matter where they go, no matter what they do, their heart will always belong to you. So if you've been wondering whether they've moved on, whether they've managed to detach themselves from this connection, the answer is no. That's not something they're capable of. You've left a permanent imprint on their heart. They might act distant. They might pretend to be indifferent. But deep within, they carry you with them. Always. This person, especially when they're standing in their masculine energy, is someone who naturally fills any space they're in. They have presence, confidence, strength. They know how to command attention, how to blend into any environment and come out on top. But when it comes to you, all of that bravado fades into something else. With you, it's different. They don't want anyone else. They don't need to prove anything. Your connection shifts their entire dynamic. What you two share isn't just magnetic, it's transformative. It's deep, consuming, and real in a way that nothing else ever has been. From the very beginning, it was unmistakably clear. If they let themselves fully embrace this connection, it would take them somewhere far deeper than anything they'd ever known. And now that truth is impossible to ignore. There may have been a time when it made them pause, made them question, but now, that hesitation has given way to clarity. They've come to recognize that this bond is unlike anything they've experienced before, and with that understanding, they've stopped searching elsewhere. They've realized that with you, nothing is missing. There's no one else who could ever fill that space. Even early on, something within them knew this was different. Something about you, about this connection, felt like it was destined to shift their entire world, and now they find themselves living in that shift, feeling the weight and the wonder of it all. It's as if their heart has finally caught up with what their soul always knew. They never saw themselves being apart from you, and now, being without you feels almost too much to bear. This bond isn't just something they appreciate, it's something they need. It feels vital to their very being. Every moment you shared, whether it was filled with laughter, quiet presence, or unspoken understanding, became one of the most meaningful parts of their life. Those memories are etched into their heart, and the idea of losing that connection is something they can hardly face. There was always a deep, almost mysterious pull toward you, a sense that if things ever fell apart between you, they wouldn't know how to carry on. And now, with distance between you, that pull has only grown stronger. They're feeling the full weight of this separation, and emotionally, it's become harder and harder for them to hold it all together. Even as time moves forward, the invisible thread between you still holds tight. There's a spiritual magnetism here, something beyond the physical realm, something that tugs at both of your souls. You may feel each other energetically, even when words aren't spoken, even across great distances. But that same distance has become so hard to bear. It's like there's a wall between your hearts that neither of you knows how to dismantle. You might find yourselves questioning everything, unsure how to make sense of the longing, the confusion, the uncertainty. Still, somewhere deep down, both of you carry a quiet, unwavering knowing. You know this isn't over. You know your paths are meant to cross again, even if the present moment feels impossible. That certainty might not erase the pain, but it still pulses beneath it all, reminding you that the story isn't finished. What's rising now is a craving for something more grounded, something real and touchable, something that can anchor all these powerful emotions. It's no longer enough to just dream of what could be. There's a deep need for something tangible, something that feels safe and stable. Your person, in particular, is yearning for that closeness with you again, for something they can hold on to. But in the space between you, it feels like that closeness is slipping away. This emotional distance feels like a burden they carry every single day. The absence isn't just something they feel in their mind. It sits heavy on their chest. It settles deep into their bones. Each day apart only intensifies the ache. The energy of this separation has become overwhelming, and they're feeling it on every level of their being. This is a tender moment for both of you. The emotional atmosphere around this connection feels thick, dense, almost like you're both caught in a storm you can't escape. They're nearing the edge of surrender, not in defeat, but in the sense that they're done fighting what they feel. They don't want to keep pretending they're okay, don't want to keep forcing themselves to silence the yearning inside. The effort of holding it all in has become too much. They're tired of building walls around their heart, tired of denying a love that has only become more undeniable with time. They've reached the point where they can't keep running. Their heart, plain and simple, wants you, and no amount of time, no amount of space has changed that truth. This connection you share, it can't be pushed aside or forgotten. It's far too powerful, far too real, and even though the current circumstances feel almost unbearable, a quiet knowing remains in them. They understand, even if only in their quietest moments, that this is temporary, that this chapter is not the conclusion, but just a pause in a much larger story. They're beginning to accept that the journey isn't over, that something deeper is still unfolding. But in the meantime, they're struggling with how to exist in the space between. Each day without you serves as a stark reminder of what they're missing, and the urge to reach out to close the gap is growing stronger. They're beginning to learn that no matter how far apart you are, no matter how long it's been, what they feel for you is still alive, and nothing can take that away. Love they're coming to see is stronger than any distance, and even in the heaviness of this moment, they're surrendering to the belief that love will guide the way forward. For the divine feminine, there's something deep and eternal that lives inside your person, a fire that never quite died. No matter how much time has passed, no matter how silent things have become, the flame you lit within them still burns. It's not just a memory or a fleeting feeling. It's something that's become a part of who they are. Even if they've tried to move on, tried to let go, the connection you share has rooted itself too deeply in their soul. It refuses to fade. What you awakened in them was real, raw, and lasting. The impact of that runs deeper than they ever expected, and yet, they're still struggling. They're exhausted. For so long, they've been trying to suppress it all, trying to bury the emotions that rise up each time they think of you. But the more they try to push it down, the more it resurfaces, and when it does, it's even more intense than before. They've hit an emotional breaking point, and now they're left overwhelmed, unsure of how to carry the intensity of it all. They don't know how to express it, don't know how to move through it. It feels like they're drowning in a sea of emotions they never imagined would run this deep. Right now, they're in a space of deep reflection. They've taken a step back, not to walk away, but to try and make sense of what's happening inside them. Everything feels so big, so consuming, that they need to pause and breathe. They're trying to find the right words, the right way to express all that they're feeling, but the depth of it leaves them uncertain. They're caught between the desire to reach out and the fear of causing more pain. They don't want to bring more confusion into your life, but being disconnected from you is tearing them apart. They're wrestling with themselves, stuck in the space between what they want and what they fear. And perhaps the hardest part of it all is that they know you're right there. They know they could pick up the phone, send a message, bridge the gap, but something is holding them back. It might be divine timing, or it might be life's external chaos. Maybe it's the weight of their own inner conflict. Whatever it is, it's created a barrier they can't seem to cross, and it's hurting them more than they can express. They're stuck in this place of wanting to move forward, but feeling frozen at the same time. From the moment you came into their life, they sensed the connection would be different. They didn't know exactly how or why, but something in them knew this was going to shake them to their core. And when things shifted, when silence took the place of conversation, when distance grew, they were left feeling lost. A part of them stopped moving, as if they didn't know how to go on without you. Now, they're standing at a crossroads trying to figure out how to navigate their life without your presence, and they're struggling to find that path. But something is becoming clearer. Resisting their emotions isn't working. Trying to forget you, trying to pretend that what they feel isn't real. It's only making everything harder. The energy they've spent running from their feelings has only left them worn out and empty. And when they finally allow themselves to sit with what they feel, when they stop fighting it, there's a strange sort of peace that begins to surface. It doesn't take the pain away, but it does bring a sense of clarity. They're learning that the only way forward is to feel everything, to stop pushing it down and start facing it head on. Letting go of resistance isn't easy for them, but they know now it's the only way they'll find healing. And in that surrender, there's hope. Hope that love will lead the way back to you. Navigating the depth of their emotions feels like walking a tightrope. They're trying to keep some sense of control while being completely consumed by feelings they can no longer deny. No matter how hard they try to push it away, love has a way of pulling them back in. The resistance only makes it more painful. Avoiding what they feel for you has become a heavy burden, one that's impossible to carry any longer. Eventually, they've had to face the truth. They think about you constantly. Your love still lives in their heart, and no amount of time or distance can erase what you mean to them. Right now, it feels like they want to reach out, but something holds them back. There's a quiet fear surrounding their desire to reconnect. They're probably wondering if too much time has passed, if your heart is still open, or if you've moved on. These questions echo loudly in their mind, especially in the masculine energy, where uncertainty in love often sparks deep internal conflict. They're caught in a tug-of-war between wanting you and fearing the consequences of being vulnerable. That fear is heavy and often hidden, but it's very real. And while you, the divine feminine, are moving through your own storm of feelings, they're facing just as much emotional turmoil. What you might not see on the surface is that this emotional intensity isn't yours alone. It's shared. Your doubts reflect theirs, and even though it may seem like you're the one carrying the emotional load, they're carrying it too. Whether they're spiritually awake or still in the process, whether they've been the runner or the chaser in this journey, one thing is certain. The connection between you is deeply mutual. The highs and lows, the overwhelming bliss and the gut-wrenching lows, they're felt on both sides. You're not imagining this. The emotional tide that rises and falls is part of what makes your bond so rare and powerful. Even in times of silence or separation, what you share remains unshakable. It's an energy that lingers, a soul recognition that never truly fades, no matter how far apart you are. Understanding their emotional process might give you more clarity. For them, vulnerability isn't easy. In fact, it's something they often avoid altogether. Expressing their true feelings is terrifying because it means exposing parts of themselves they've spent a long time protecting. It's not that they don't feel deeply, they do, but the fear of getting hurt or of hurting you keeps them in the shadows. Staying hidden feels safer, but that safety is temporary, and they know it. Eventually, those emotions will demand to be felt, and they're starting to see that avoiding them only leads to more pain and confusion. Right now, your inner guidance is more important than ever. This energy that flows between you is speaking louder than any words could. Even if they aren't reaching out or expressing themselves directly, their heart is sending you a message. They want you to trust what you feel. They want you to believe in the depth of this connection and not let physical distance or silence make you question what you already know deep inside. You're more attuned to this love than you think. They're feeling the distance too. They're doing what they can to sense where you are emotionally, trying to pick up on your energy, hoping to find reassurance in what they feel from you. This constant exchange, the energetic pull back and forth, is part of the journey. It can be exhausting, especially when it feels like there's no progress. But the truth is, neither of you wants this separation. It doesn't sit right with either of your hearts. They're aware of how strongly you feel, and they're quietly holding on to the hope that you still want what they want. A reunion, a closing of the space between you. Their fear doesn't stem from a lack of love. It's a defense, a shield to protect their heart. But underneath all of that, their love for you is unwavering. Just like you yearn for closeness, so do they. There's a mutual desire to move past the obstacles, to break down the walls, and come together in a space that feels safe and honest. Even in times of doubt, the love you share is more powerful than any fear. When the timing is right, everything you've both been holding inside will come rushing out, and your connection will deepen in ways you can't yet imagine. Until that moment comes, continue to trust. Trust your heart, trust your instincts, and above all, trust the love that continues to bind you together. Right now, your person is doing a lot of inner work. They're on a path of reflection, trying to make sense of all the emotions swirling within them. It's not a simple process. One day they feel pulled towards you with a longing that's hard to ignore. The next they're overwhelmed by guilt or frustration. They're going back and forth between blame and confusion, sometimes even projecting their inner turmoil outward because it's just too much to sit with all at once. They're not trying to hurt you. They're just struggling to understand what's going on inside themselves. This emotional mess is part of a much deeper transformation. They're working to untangle everything that's been left unresolved, and for you, the divine feminine, this might be a particularly disorienting time. You may find yourself feeling drained or unsteady without knowing why, only to realize later that you're picking up on their emotional waves. That's the depth of your connection. It goes far beyond words or actions. It's felt in the energy, in the soul. Their higher self is reaching out, trying to reassure you that what you feel is real. This isn't just in your head. The confusion, the emotional chaos, they're experiencing it too, and it's taking everything in them to sort through it. They're questioning a lot right now. They're wondering if this connection is really what they think it is, if it's meant to be, and if they're even capable of meeting you where you need them to be. If you've been apart for a while, those questions become even more intense, layered with regret and uncertainty about how things unfolded. This distance wasn't something they planned. Life, timing, or circumstances may have pulled you apart, and for a while, it might have seemed like the bond was fading. But the truth is, time has given them clarity. They didn't expect to feel so much after all this time. They never imagined they'd be stuck in this space, yearning for you but unsure how to move forward. There's sadness there, a deep sense of regret, and it's something they're trying to make peace with. If you've been wondering how they really feel, the answer is, they feel everything. They're being hit with the full force of their emotions: love, longing, confusion, sadness, and even anger. They're sitting in the messiness of it all, trying to sort through the noise and find the truth in their heart, and beneath all the emotional clutter, there is still so much love. It hasn't gone anywhere. It might be buried under layers of fear or guilt, but it's alive. And they're working quietly and steadily to heal so they can meet you from a place of clarity and courage. This part of the journey is far from easy, but they are doing the inner work. They're clearing the way not just to come back to you, but to come back to themselves in a way that's honest and whole. So if you're sitting with questions, if you're wondering if they still care, know that they do, deeply. But healing takes time, and right now, they're doing what they need to do to become the person who can show up for this love the way it truly deserves. This is the message their higher self is sending. Trust in the process. Trust what you know in your heart, and trust that everything is unfolding as it needs to, even when the path feels uncertain. And if this message resonated with you, know that your support means the world. Consider offering a small gesture of appreciation. It really does make a difference. And remember to stay connected with us here for more updates that uplift and inspire. We're so grateful to have you as part of this journey.